Yo, what up, YouTube and YouTubers and all that good stuff? I just woke up a little while ago, so I had to. I went over to my computer, went on QJ, PSP updates. So I'll check all them things in the morning and shit. So that was this article. I don't know if you people like are as into this as like I am, but like I'm into PSP and PSP developing and all that stuff. Homebrew and all that good stuff. And like I understand there are certain legality issues as far as custom firmware goes and all that stuff. But I just read this article and I found it very interesting. It's about Dark Alex. For those that don't know, which most of anybody that owns a PSP, whether or not they have custom firmware, they might have heard, very likely to have heard about Dark Alex. And for those that don't know, Dark Alex is like this developer that is a Spanish developer that's been on the PSP scene since it basically came out. He developed like dev hooks, which were little programs that brought you back to the 1.50 first, like the official firmware, which allowed homebrew. Now, homebrew are like programs written by people that aren't like professional developers and so on. So as far as the legality of it goes, where I stand on it, like this is just my opinion on it. Where I stand on as far as the legality of it goes, if you copying games, like if you backing up games or downloading torrents or whatever it may be, I find that to be illegal. I don't have a problem with buying games, like if they're good. I'm not like for instance, God of War: Chains of Olympus. That was probably the last worth buying title on the PSP, and all the rest, like I just go to the PlayStation Store on the PSP and whatever demos they have, and I just try out whatever demos are there. And I've bought GTA too, obviously, all the GTAs on the PSP. And now I see what they have coming out for the PSP. I'm probably gonna buy those too. Like the Little Big Planet on the PSP and MotorStorm look pretty slick too. I'm not too sure about Assassin's Creed because I have the game on PS3 and I wasn't too fan of it. But moving on to the original topic of the whole thing. The where I stand on homebrew and custom firmware and all that stuff is that if you buy a piece of hardware, such as a PSP, for instance, I stand from like I am allowed to run whatever operating system as in like software on it. I see as if I'm allowed to run any operating system that I want on that piece of hardware that I've purchased. Just like a computer. If I buy a computer, I am allowed to either have Windows or Linux, for instance. Not Mac, because Mac don't allow Mac OS to be used on any other computer apart from Mac, whatever. That we're not going into that right now. So yeah, I see as if I'm buying a PSP, I can put whatever firmware I want on it. So that's the first thing where I stand from. Now, as far as making that, doing that process, the process of getting of custom firmware on it, that may be different. But then again, if you're using a piece of software, like back in the day, you used to have the Liberty City, had a flaw in it or whatever it was, so you could use Liberty City to install the firmware. Well, I see that as being illegal, kind of. But then again, if nowadays, the most easiest way of installing custom firmware on a PSP is an exploit used by the PSP's battery and memory card. It boots the PSP straight to the memory card. You install the firmware. It's called Pandora for those that don't know. So basically that's okay. And for me, Homebrew, as far as like games and applications go, it's amazing. It's just like the iPhone, you have applications, like you have the App Store, and people can write their own applications to the iPhone. So basically, PSP is the exact same thing, just Sony is not allowing it. And as long as Sony doesn't allow people to write their own homebrew, this is gonna be going on, because Dark Alex will eventually come back and hack a PSP and blah 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 blah. And I just read that they're working on the PSP 3000, the TA 8000 chip on the PSP Slim, which those aren't hackable. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if the chip is the 8000, whatever. So as long as Sony doesn't allow it, they will be back. Because I just read it that Fujita and loads of homebrew developers and programmers that retired from the original PSP scene like years ago, like when PSP came out 06 or 07 or whatever, when they came in the scene, and then they did what was there to be done, and then they left. So they coming back to try to hack the PSP 3000. So that goes to show like the power of will of these people to make something that's good better. Because to be honest, Sony is good with software. They're not a software company, but they're pretty good. They're doing well as far as software goes, but that's better. For instance, Ahman, which is a programmer too, he created IR Shell, which is like this multitasking software. He's currently working on a new IR Shell for the PSP Slim, which multitasks. So basically, you can be playing a game. So for instance, I have God of War: Chains of Olympus. I backed that game up to my PSP. I have it on my memory stick. I can be, or even on the UMD. You can actually do it on UMD as well. I can be playing that game and listening to whatever music I have on my memory stick. I can be playing that game on tab R, yeah, and go straight to my web browser while in game still, and then check whatever I want to check on my web browser and go back. I can be playing a homebrew game. For instance, I can be playing let's see, some ROMs. Okay, I can have like Super Nintendo ROMs. I can be playing Super Mario ROMs on my PSP, and I can be playing GTA Liberty City Stories on a PSP, and I can switch between both. So that right there, it's something that maybe Sony would never even think about, but that dude just made it. It's like it's still working on it basically. So that goes to show like people are making the PSP better, and maybe that's the reason why it still sells. Because for me, like, I don't play PSP at all. The only games I have was the ones I stated already, and what I do on my PSP is I web browse, I use remote play, I play homebrew games. I play like Mr. Driller. They made this homebrew game called Mr. Driller, which is original on PS1 and Nintendo and all that stuff. But that's what I play. I go on my PSP, I play Tetris. I'll go to my PSP to play freaking Tetris. Some dude make this homebrew of Tetris, and I play that. And there's this like YouTube, this PSP tube, the ultimate PSP tube is the latest one, the 1.90 if I'm not mistaken. And I just sit on my, instead of being on my computer right there or being on my on my PlayStation 3, I can just lay in bed at night before I go to sleep and watch a music video or watch this whatever video I want to watch on my PSP straight for Wi-Fi. So the homebrew is a good thing as long as far as like they don't break into like certain things as far as games go. Because then again, if you see, the reason why PSP has no games at all is because they don't sell, because people hack PSPs and they download the games, and then upon doing that the games don't sell, so the developers don't have money to go and make a new game because the previous one didn't sell. It doesn't mean that the game wasn't good, it just means that people downloaded it instead of buying it. So that's me on that subject. Shouts out to all the PSP homebrew scene people, everybody that's working on and making an effort to keep everything alive, and Dark Alex for the beautiful homebrews and the softwares and everything. And yeah, Dark Alex, we worship you, dude. Okay then, y'all take care. I'm about to leave the crib right now, and peace out. Safe.